Hey friends, I greet you all. Today, I made the decision to start a live broadcast session where I could engage in a conversation with all of you for a little while. We have a few questions, actually, and we would love to hear from you. It's been quite some time since I last interacted with you all, so please feel free to write in the group chat right now, at this very moment. You can write to my manager or wherever you want to, and rest assured, I can see your comments and feedback. So, let's do a quick check. Just give me a thumbs up if everything's good and clear. I'll just start with an introduction, beginning with the fact that the world is indeed undoubtedly changing at a very fast pace, quite rapidly. Here's the thing, we've found ourselves in this situation. As they said there, yes, the fourth Dalai Lama, so to speak, was unlucky. And here I will indeed tell you something very important. Reality is changing fast, and we need to keep up and activate mechanisms that can help you, at the very least, stay safe. At least stay fed, and, in your own way, mentally healthy. Again, I want to emphasize that the energy component of a person plays a crucial role. In your own way, mentally healthy, definitely. Energy is crucial. Energy is information. Cellular and tissue information. Now it has become clear to all of us that energy is nothing more than information. There's information from the field structure, spirit, and subtle order, also from our cells and tissues about ongoing processes. I wanted to link them and say this is the information, but I see a gap between information related to our cells, organs, and tissues, and information about the inner world, psyche, and emotions. They're somewhat separated from cellular information. At one point, I wanted to correlate them and say that this is the information, but actually, I see that there's a bit of a distance between the information that directly relates to our cells, organs, and tissues, and the information that pertains more to, let's say, the realms of the inner world, and the foundations of the psyche, ultimately emotions and psyche. They're somewhat, let's say, separated from cellular information. However, if we look at facial tissues and other tissues that carry a certain emotional charge, we'll see that they are very much dependent on this. They're somewhat separated from cellular information. However, if we look at facial tissues, which are connective tissues that surround muscles, nerves, and organs, and other tissues that carry a certain emotional charge, we'll see that they are very much dependent on this. Facial tissues play a crucial role in the body's structural integrity and function. These tissues, along with others that carry emotional charges, are influenced by various factors. What can I say? The study of something, yes, without any gradations, without any reference points, it is still purely humanitarian, yes, a narrative. And, as I see it, most of the masters who talk about anything tend to speak in a completely abstract way, totally detached from anything specific. They say things like, there are vibrations of love, there's fear, and that's pretty much it. We can quantify love vibrations, varying among people, not always relating to pleasant sensations. Some equate happiness with divine love vibrations. There's a distance between a person's positive matrix vibrations and those carrying emotions. Vibrations of love don't relate to physical sensations. There's a gap between positive matrix vibrations and those carrying emotions. Here, too, it turned out that there is indeed a distance. between those vibrations that are created by this positive, let us say, human matrix, and those vibrations that have emotion and certain pleasant sensations in them. Well, let's do it this way. You write down your questions. It'll make it a bit easier for me, because there's a lot to cover and it's not clear what exactly you need me to express. And, so that I don't drift off and get lost in the weeds, let's set it up like a question and answer. So, can we explore the topic of a person's status and their right to freedom? Expressing oneself as a spirit. In Ukraine, people are beaten, threatened, caught on the streets and forcibly sent away. It's unclear what they're even fighting for anymore. The work is to not get caught up in their game with your mind, to stay calm, and to be aware of your own set of flaws and unnecessary programs. Does visualizing this energy work when you realize there's an unnecessary program? Transforming the light and setting it aside through a higher power for the future, or in the moment, if you need to give where there's a lack. Is this my fantasy or reality? Well, it's a serious question, and, as they say, freedom, the right to freedom, and Ukraine, these are all such provocative topics. Right now, and I'm not an expert in these areas, to be diving into political games or looking at things globally, like globalists. And who's doing what, where the Masons are, and all that. I'll put it this way. First of all, let's talk about the critical points, like physical health. For example, a person has an acute condition. What does that mean? Fever. So, that means there's already some kind of inflammatory process going on. Maybe an acute condition, right? So, there could be issues with blood pressure, or I don't know, sensations like burning, pressure on the chest, on the head, or somewhere else, maybe darkening in the eyes, or other things, sounds, visions, delusions, or whatever. So, of course, we can work on this, but we need to understand that the situation we have didn't just happen out of nowhere, right? So there's a chain of cause and effect, and where it happens, B will definitely follow right. After B, there will be C, and after C, the next letters. So nothing happens on its own, right? Everything happens for a reason. And in every person's life. You know, I've thought a lot about the saying that God protects those who take care of themselves, and the idea of trust but verify. I'm increasingly realizing that we are all exactly where we need to be. Right in the situation that's happening to us, and not just because it happened that way. Because through our actions we made it so that this is how it turned out now. That is, what we see now is the result of those actions that took place before, what has developed now. And the actions that we are currently doing now, at this very moment, their results will manifest in the near or some more prolonged future. So I really want you to understand that there are various different levels. There is a level of the social world and our selfish game, our relentless shadow push and our ongoing struggle, our diligent elbow work, our strategic methods, earning money, conducting business, and exploring some other innovative ideas. I went to this conference and said, there's someone who made $1 million. They earned less than I have. I have something to say. I'll speak. And they say, well, you're an interesting guy, but how much are you spending on advertising? The person asked a question right away. I said, I don't really invest much in advertising. Whoever wants to watch, watches. If they're interested, great. If not, that's fine too. Basically, at that moment it was 3%. There was no income from the money invested in advertising. He didn't let me on stage. He says, "What are you talking about? You're going to tell me that you haven't invested anything in advertising and you've made $1 million too? That goes against all the laws of business." I said, "How is it contradictory? I've made the money. You can't make people see this is not the main advertising. The main thing is how you do it, that you need to do it with your heart, that you need to express yourself properly and convey meanings instead of just giving a lecture. It is not necessary to inform, but to show the practice so that the person can experience and understand." In short, they didn't let me in. They said, "You're not a businessman." I said, No, this isn't business. This isn't business. Business should spend at least 30-35-40-50% on advertising. If you're not doing that, it's not a business. They didn't let you on stage. Right. And, you see, there are certain social laws at play in this social game. I'm not a political scientist. I'm not. I have deep understanding of, in management systems, right. Even more so in the management structures, there, the power structures, yes, where, how, there, who divided the world, how, where, there. The chronology of Fomenko-Nosovsky, where they erased what history, how what. It's clear there's a mess there, right? So, for me, looking in, I see one is trying to outshine the other. Why would I want to dig into their dirty laundry? Why do I need that, right? Why do I need this? And, of course, in order to fully comprehend in detail how exactly the picture of our future will shape up over time, and to take certain necessary actions, well, just merely to stay alive, I certainly looked in that particular direction and made some personal conclusions for myself. There are indeed specific particular areas where things will be more or less stable, at least in terms of this ongoing socio-political game. It's a different world now. It's the internet. I communicate with you, friends, please, in my 20 to 25. Well, it was impossible, just impossible. Now we see children. They make substantial money simply on their creativity, in various ways, on their imagination, on their correct understanding of this world. I'm learning, adapting, sharing with those interested in my knowledge, skills. It's in you, you can do it. Work on yourself, start small. I guarantee your mental and physical health. I can restore it. Well, from there on, climbing up is busy. You must get involved, see expectations, pressures, and holograms. At a certain development level, everyone gets involved in their own way, guided by whoever or whatever you believe. A higher essence holds your life's book with rare options. What kind of future are they trying to promote? Yes, and what kind of structures, what kind of holograms are they building? One way or another, when a person reaches a certain level of development, everyone gets involved in their own way. You know, your guide, your supplier, your higher self. Call it what you want. There's some higher essence that holds the book of life for you, and there are options. Maybe they're adding to it, but it's rare. Usually, it is what it is, and they just guide you along. And with this force, you need to establish a connection. Usually, it is what it is. They lead you along. It's clear that at the very first initial attempt you made to create and establish a connection with this force, other forces will want to intercept that connection. They'll create phishing sites or do other things to implant a different kind of information, a different level of information, and to lead you around by the nose. If it were that simple, everyone would already be walking around connected to their mentor. But a secure channel, is worth a lot. And then, of course, there's the person who already has that connection, the one who can let go of the destructive information structures, the ones tied to the negative system. In my opinion, that's a rarity. These are unique people. There aren't many unique ones, like they don't really talk much about it, but there is some kind of negative system that develops its holograms to quickly take away your potential. There you go. And so, what can I say here, once again, is that there are different levels, the social level, the mental level. Yeah, like your thoughts, you know what thoughts are. So, there are thoughts and beliefs, right? There are the Vedas and the Upanishads. Have you read it? And it's really good there, like in the Kina or the Katha. So, what drives a person, right? What beliefs come to his mind? I mean, a lot of things come to mind, right? But you choose certain thoughts. And you say, well, this is my thought. I believe this. Yeah, and some of them, we ignore it. We just brush it off. Then you don't hear them anymore. So each person tunes into the wave they want. Yeah, it's good if a person really does this consciously, if they understand that they can tune into some kind of mental wave, right? That they can think through some destructive things, or they can think through some positive things, you know? And that really defines them. And there's also the emotional level where a person can express different emotions. There's a certain level of knowledge, a kind of timeliness where it might make sense to express negative emotions. In their own time, they can help. But somewhere. Contrarily, they need to be extinguished. And that's also work on yourself. And it's really hard. It's not just like that. It takes years to get to this point, and, as they say, the results of your self-work will come in a few years. Everyone who tells you, come join our marathon, and you'll get everything right away. And everything will be great. No, you won't get everything right away, friends. Well, believe me, even if you come to my classes, you won't get everything right away. So, it's a process. It's about time, and even more so, it's about restructuring that inner world corset, you know, those mental subconscious structures of self-organization. Well, they're very rigid. They don't want to change. Changes for these systems are scary. You have to step out of your comfort zone. It's like a complete overhaul of yourself, and that's always uncomfortable. So, you need to see that aspect of yourself that, for one reason or another, is wrong. So, once you see that it's wrong, you also need to be able to throw it out of yourself, to be able to reject it, to separate from it. And that's work too, and it hurts. So, our beliefs. What we've been told since childhood, what we're convinced of, all of that sinks deep inside us. And by the time you reach that level where you've at least touched on these Fomenko-Nesovsky ideas and understood that everything you learned in history can definitely be divided by 2, or even, as they say, we know about 200 to 300 years ago, or more precisely, 150 years that we definitely know about. The rest is still a bit vague. We know about those 150 years simply because our grandmothers were around not too long ago, and they told our parents, right? So, we definitely know that for sure. And what's further ahead is just a dense forest. Right. And against this backdrop, it becomes clear that knowledge is a great power. A great power. And this power can change a person's fate. It can change the person themselves. To modify it and transform it. And, of course, if we look at all this from the perspective of globalists or perhaps some people who have, in some way, in a manner of speaking, realized everything that's happening, I don't know, some deities or whoever, and they're squeezing the potentials of a person, slowly drawing them into some worries and justifications, making them feel like they're nobody and nothing, and that they're good for nothing. And a person, convincing themselves of this, falls apart. They layer these constructs with a negative system onto him, magical ones that destroy him, while at the same time draining his emotional energy, his spiritual strength, his potential. It's all sad, friends. It's especially sad, that this isn't popular. That is, people from that set, so to speak, of everything that has, in fact, popularity. Yes, what we see, this determines, again, yes, that is the general level. I am not talking about awareness there, but in general the interests of what is interesting to people. There you go. And with all of this, yes, indeed, we can see that people are neither able nor ready to accept knowledge in any meaningful and significant manner. They're not able or ready to work on themselves, and they're not able or ready to understand why we have what we have right now. It's all simple. All the actions that were taken before, whether through structured management, unstructured management, or any other method of cultural cooperation, don't really matter in any significant or impactful way. Ultimately, the point is that there is a development plan and strategy, and it is comprehensive. If you don't have one, it doesn't mean that there isn't a plan for you. If you have it, your development plan, your growth and development, what exactly are you planning for the next 5 years? In 10 years, in 50 years, do you have these plans? I'm sure there aren't any. What does this mean? Somewhere they exist. Believe me, there are people out there who are making plans, and their plans are developing. You don't have your own plan, but they have a plan, and yours, and for you too. And that's the result. So, of course, you need to have at least some kind of small plan of your own, but still have one. Where are you going to move? How are you going to move forward? Why are you going to move forward? So, meanings. That's what's important today. Meanings and ideology. What exactly do you understand? Knowledge. So, from what level can you look at it? Of course, these are all large volumes of information, and without, so to speak, studying, without touching on them, at least reading some basic stuff or, I don't know, listening to lectures. It's all about time. So, you need to find the time for these aspects to sink in, for this ideology to develop within you. You need to start turning on your logic, your thinking apparatus. As I mentioned earlier, at the very beginning, look at the laws of cause and effect. So, if the cup is empty, well, you can pour something into it, and, most likely, it suggests that you should pour something into it. 100%. Even if I don't do anything, someone will probably take it and pour something into it, so it will be full. If it's full, then someone will either drink it or spill it. It will be empty. So, these seem like simple things. So, the candle is burning. What happens next? After a while, it will go out. It seems obvious, right? Even a fool can understand that. But really, what have you been doing this week? Why did you do exactly all of this? What for? And I believe that until a person develops an inner compass, an internal mechanism for checking the system, when one asks themselves questions like how are their legs doing in terms of stability and what's their connection to the ground beneath them? How about another connection? And how about the arms? Yeah, the meridians of the arms, log on, how the whole system works, right, legs, arms, how everything functions, like sensations, subtle sensations. How do I feel the central channel? How are the shoulders? Is there anything on the head? Like, chakras, those sensations inside. Movements, warmth. Every morning I wake up feeling all broken. Emotions led to self-loss, and I realized that the emotion pulled me in, redirected my focus. Yeah, I got worried, got offended somewhere, got caught up in a social game, lost myself. I lost myself. I've been working on myself for 20 years. Every day I observe myself. Yes, sometimes I get involved specifically and observe. Still observe. Can't get in order. And I realize that until a person activates these basic mechanisms, they can't really get themselves in order. I couldn't do it for the first 15 years. I only started to get it not too long ago. For the first 15 years, I just hoped that one day I would become harmonious, sit down, and feel no pain, no pressure, no tension, no emotions, nothing pulling me in different directions, no worries, thoughts, emotions, or anything else. Nothing is jumping. That's it. No thoughts. And this is the time. This is the time. This is the experience. This is the work. And if a person doesn't do it, but does something else, most of the time, it's easier to just degrade. As Gurdjieff said, it's much easier to move with the flow of creation than against it. So, if you're moving with the flow of creation, you're kind of going with the current. So, you're moving from our Law 48 to Law 96. Light to the moon. We're all food for the moon. To the moon, everyone, food for the moon. That's what Gurdjieff said. And if you start moving against the flow of creation, it means you've understood these 48 mechanical laws so well that they no longer have power over you. You move to a new level, the 24th level of all planets, and then, so to speak, other laws kick in, which for an ordinary person here would already be a miracle. Moving further to the 12th level of all suns, you become truly holy. And it's real, my friends. So, here's the thing. There are many levels, and at each of them, the law of cause and effect operates. If I'm working on my emotions inside, on my personal expectations and desires, on my internal logical structures, like why do I think this way here? Why do I feel this way here? What am I feeling right now? Why do I need this? Or why don't I need it when I'm offered something? Why don't go for it then? And finally, why am I even doing anything at all? Why? There you go. And the key point, the main thing, is still self-development. Well, there are no other goals here. We're just, well, that's obvious. Evolution, in other words. That's the only goal in life. To transform against the backdrop of the situations and conditions, in order to change yourself in such a way that you become something qualitatively different. Yes, this is a dangerous path and, as they say, a big chance of failure that something will go wrong in something else. But if a person manages to change qualitatively, then this is the distance. The last time there was a qualitative change was between monkeys and humans. I believe the next change, which is already possible and happening with many people, is a similar qualitative change as that between monkeys and humans. An ordinary person, a conscious person, they're even further apart than monkeys and humans. They're even further apart. Yeah, that's the mental level, right? That's the level of awareness. Yeah, that's the energy level, but it's not the social plane. Social cause and effect. Results are from past actions. It depends on the specific actions in society, on the specific actions of a particular individual in a specific society. And what currently exists now is the cause and effect relationship of the processes that have happened up to this moment. And what you're going to do now are the actions that will, in this process, ultimately and effectively lead to something new manifesting, step by step. In reality, of course, we are all, to some extent, responsible for what's happening on the planet right now, in our daily lives and future generations. But you need to understand that it is important to note that we can only do what we can if you really want to comprehend fully and effectively influence global processes. Actually, you want to. Well, you must become, accordingly, that person who has such a resource, such power, such potential, and such knowledge that he has the ability to influence world processes. For now, each of us is exactly where we can be. I'm sure each of you would easily and happily step up to a different level. Somewhere. But it doesn't work. Why? Because you are like this, you are like this, I am like this. We are all there, exactly at the level that we were able to reach. If we could do more, we would, of course, go further. But we can't do more, and it's important to acknowledge that, including in the spiritual world, in the world of energy, and in the world of emotions. We're exactly there. Our control, awareness, and understanding are exactly as they are. And that's exactly why you are where you are. We're exactly there. Our control, awareness, and understanding are just as they are. And that's exactly why you are where you are. Could you go further? Well, of course, you would go further. Could you rise higher? Well, you would rise higher. Identify and eliminate your self-sabotaging beliefs and habits. This will make room for new knowledge and naturally elevate you to a higher level. Ideologies that prevent you from moving forward. By seeing them, recognizing them, and getting rid of them, you'll free up space for new knowledge. By changing and transforming, you'll naturally elevate yourself to a different level. You'll find yourself in a place where you truly deserve to be. That's how it works. You'll find yourself in the place where you truly deserve to be. So that's how it is. I'll briefly try to answer this question, if I can. Human rights are an illusion. They can do whatever they want anywhere. Some places are quieter, others more aggressive, but nowhere is truly safe. They can do anything anywhere, in any country, in any region, well, somewhere, yes, quieter, somewhere. More aggressively, but in reality, there are no places on the planet where you would truly feel completely safe. Well, at least I don't know about them. Maybe I'm not in there. Maybe you know. Well, I don't know. I've been everywhere, around the globe, in Australia, in America, and let me tell you, I felt a certain kind of lack of safety everywhere. As for America, I won't even say a word. Everyone's got guns. Thailand, everyone's got guns. Everywhere requires caution. Well, there's nowhere where you can just go like that and no one will bother you. Be careful. Soviet Union didn't have that. Mean cops, no chaos. If you go here, be careful too. And if before, when I lived in the Soviet Union, there wasn't that feeling, Sure, we saw some mean cops and other folks, but for the most part, I didn't really see any serious chaos. It only really started in the 90s, though. It's like now, as I look around the planet, maybe I've just changed. Maybe my eyes have opened up and I see more, But to say there are places where we can just chill out and relax, while also having at least some kind of infrastructure, that's an important point. We need some kind of society, some people. Especially a civilized society, civilized people. So it feels like the more civilized the society, indeed, certainly, the less safety there is, right? What to do? That's really the question. So we see that the world is like this, and this is not the end, my friends. You understand that what was has led to what is, and what's happening now will lead to what's to come. Looking at all this, it's clear what's coming. So they're going to start World War III. Well, there really aren't any other options left. No one is going to back down. There will definitely be further escalations there, and new countries will get involved. And of course, it's all going to get more massive. In the end, there are too many people on the planet. They need to be cut down somehow. Right. So what do we do? Because, well, what do people usually say? I have family here. I have property here. I have other things there. Right. Of course, who am I to advise you on anything? Everyone has their own head. Friends, here you also need to know that you ask me a question, I answer. But I'm answering subjectively. From my own perspective, I'm not God, I'm not all-knowing, and I'm not a fortune teller. I just have a broad view of the world and have my own opinion, and I'm just sharing my opinion with you. I think, we need to stop being inactive or dormant in our approach. That is, the less a person thinks about what will happen, the greater the chance that it will be crap, uncertain, and unpredictable. You need to think specifically about what you're going to do tomorrow. Why? Any idea or illusion that I can just sit here, it's dangerous, but I'll stick it out until the end, just because, and like. In my opinion, this is a strange strategy, right? That is, in my opinion, there should be a good understanding of how exactly the holograms will clearly and specifically unfold. In what area of the globe? What will happen? Where is all this headed next? What options do we even have? If not here, then where? If not this, then what? Crisis plan, what? And if everything goes wrong, what do we do then? So if some kind of emergency situation happens, what then? Plan B in case of an emergency, if Plan A doesn't work out. Implementing this strategy could help save lives by providing essential support and resources in critical situations. Well, we are unlucky, friends. We live in such times. On the other hand, look, artificial intelligence is working wonders, creating more and more beautiful images, and more people are starting to. Well, it's not the same life, you know? Now there are robots reading texts in my voice with my avatar, texts that I don't even know. And somehow they're inviting people to courses, right? So what do we do? What do we do? So, evolution is moving forward. We need to keep up with the times. I urge everyone to at least learn how to learn. Learn, friends. Study everything you like. I'm not even talking about anatomy. Those cells. I just went into the cells now. This is totally uncharted territory. Take artificial intelligence. Well, you're interested. Maybe you could draw some pictures. And you will draw such pictures that tomorrow some guy will say, "Oh, I was just looking for these pictures. Here are $500 for you." So, learn, friends, learn. While there's still this chance. While there's an opportunity, dive into it. If you like the art of war, well, read about everyone who's ever been involved in any battles. You'll be surprised. Actually, the most important thing in war is to deceive, show one thing and do another. This is the coolest, this is the top. Yeah, of course, it's even cooler if you can break the enemy's holograms without even affecting their intentions, not to mention the physical level. That's top-notch. Well, what's there to talk about? And, of course, in today's world, many believe that studying is just for those labeled as nerds. This common view can discourage people from pursuing academics due to the fear of being labeled, right? These are people with an inner world. They have their own space, introverts, who can close themselves off and study within. I dive deep into topics. I love learning and absorbing information. And I've never been a strong introvert, but I get these waves where I dive deep into something, and I start studying a topic. I like to study, I love absorbing information, and I encourage you, if you like working on yourself, read about everyone who has worked on themselves before you. What do you think? Are you the first on this path? Or do you think you'll find a master right now, and they'll give you an initiation, and boom, everything will just happen? Yeah, they can give you an initiation. Yeah, it can really help a lot. But if you yourself haven't put 2 + 2 together in the spiritual world, haven't understood the basics, haven't understood that freedom begins with the word no, that if you can't cut off the unnecessary, you will never get freedom. You're stuck, you're trapped in what is. That's it. And there are a lot of paradoxes like this. If you want to move forward, you don't need to run anywhere. Just sit or stand, work on your energetic structure, and what you intend will happen on its own. Yeah, there are all sorts of nuances, a lot of nuances, actually. It's not that simple. So my second message to you, friends, learn. Learn once again. As the great Lenin bequeathed, you need to learn, and when knowledge starts to seep in little by little, after it seeps in, you don't need to rush to tell everyone right away when you've understood something. Let it settle in, let it grow deeper within you and become a part of you. Then it'll be easier for you to express it to other people. Let it sink in, let it grow deeper within you and become a part of you. It will be easier to convey it to other people. Well, and to everyone who is really having a hard time now and who is in difficult situations, I say, turn to the higher self. Reach out to your spiritual mentors, ask them for help. May luck be on your side, may it be as it should be. Speak the way you need to. Find your spiritual thread. In closing, I'll say that we do group meditations 3 times a week. At least 40 minutes. Sometimes we sit for up to an hour, a little more. In bamboo immersion, I transmit those necessary energies for people who are extremely important and valuable now. We're gradually filling ourselves up, slowly working through, and releasing any stuck emotions and various energy informational blockages. You can sign up for the closed club and meditate with us 3 times a week. Yeah, there are more advanced techniques, and right now we have a retreat coming up in Bali. And further, yes, there are interesting courses. Well, you can find all that out from our manager. It's great when there are no questions, friends. It's the most wonderful state when everything is clear. Light and love, friends.